You will begin the technique of making a placket under an inverted box pleat by taking your tissue pattern piece from your pattern, and you will cut it out, and there'll be certain things that you need to mark that are very important. You will need to mark the center back line, which is the line going right down the middle. On each side of that there is a pleat line. Now, on the right hand side only, you will mark the slash line and the 2 slash lines at the bottom. The next thing you will do will be at your ironing board. You will go take each one of your pleat lines, the one on the left, and fold it to the center back line and press it, and then you will fold the right pleat to the center back line and press it. When you have pressed these together, now it is an inverted box pleat. The next step is for the left hand side only. We are stitching the left hand side of the pleat down from the neckline to the stop point on the pattern, which is about a ½ inch below the bottom of the slash line. The way you do that, after you have folded and pressed it, you will open it up so that right sides are together, and you will stitch from the neck edge down that crease line to the mark at the bottom, which was about a ½ inch below your slash line for your placket. Then you can open it back up and press it back down. After you have stitched in the left hand side of your pleat, you're going to stay stitch across the top edge of that pleat, stitching about an 1/8 inch from the raw neck edge. This fastens that pleat down to the neckline so it doesn't get caught and flip back when you're trying to put on a collar or a neckband. On the right hand side of the pleat, we have now slashed along the slash line vertically to the bottom, and then we have slashed toward the armhole 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch, and on the left hand side we have slashed a little more than halfway back toward the center back line. Now I'm going to show you how to finish those raw edges. On the side where you slit it 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch, you're going to turn that under, that raw edge under, and press it down. On the left hand side, you are going to turn it under, the raw edge under, first 1/4 of an inch, and then turn it all the way back to the center back line. So now you have 2 folded edges. Our only raw edge, you will notice, as at the bottom of this opening. Now I'm going to turn this over and let you see the back of it so you can see where I have folded it under. On the, this would have been, if you're looking at the right side, the right hand side. This is where I have pressed it under 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. And on the other side, I first pressed it under 1/4 of an inch and then pressed it all the way to the seam line. Be careful not to let it go past that seam line. This is our raw edge at the bottom. Now I'm going to show you how this is stitched. Now I'm going to show you how to stitch these folded and pressed edges. We're going to start with a straight stitch, stitching on the wrong side of the dress. We are going to stitch from the neck edge on that little piece that's just turned under an 1/8 to a 1/4 of an inch and top stitch it to the dress all the way to the bottom of the folded under edge. When we get to just the bottom, we're going to raise our presser foot, and with our needle down, we are going to change our stitch to a zigzag. Your stitch width should be 3 or 4. Your stitch length should be about 1/2 to 1. Now, when you zigzag across the bottom of this, you will want to zigzag in the dress and zigzag the second stitch in the bottom of that folded under edge. This catches that raw edge and finishes it. As you come to the unfinished edge at the bottom of the placket, one stitch goes in the dress, the second stitch goes off in the air, and this rolls and whips that raw edge. Then continue zigzagging across the approximate 1/2 inch folded under edge, stitching in the dress and stitching in that 1/2 inch. This will finish that raw edge at the bottom of the placket. When you get to almost the edge of the fold, then with your needle down, put your machine back on straight stitch, pivot again, and stitch close to the fold all the way up to the top edge. Now I have stitched this in a dark color so that you can see it. If you did this, you would want to do this in a thread color to match your dress. Now I'm going to turn it over and let you see it from the right side of the garment. Again, on this side we have our stitched pleat, and on the right side we have our little area folded under and finished where the buttons will go, and on it will fold up just like this, and all of our edges are nicely finished. Our first step was to enclose the left hand side of our dress. Now we want to do the same thing to fasten the bottom side of our pleat. So I'm going to, on the right hand side, I'm going to fold right sides together. I'm going to find the bottom of my placket. You can tell this by the zigzags, and I'm going to mark on that crease line about a 1/2 inch below the zigzags and a 1/2 inch above the zigzags. I am going to stitch a 1 inch area there on the crease line, tacking or back stitching at the top and the bottom. This is what holds your pleat in place at the bottom and what holds your pleat in place at the top. Now, you will see the little area sticking out here. This is where we will be sewing your buttons, and on this side is where we'll be sewing your buttonholes.